Happy Black. No, that's like, oh. I'm bad at introductions. I'm sorry. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you haven't been here yet, I'm Jenna. Nice to meet you. And today I'm going to be telling retail horror stories because it is Happy Black Friday. It was a long day. I'm trying to think if I want to name the place, but I mean it's gonna be obvious if I don't, so we'll just say it's a thrift store and we will go from there. So at this thrift store, they do a buying and selling process. They pay cash on the spot for whatever you bring in. So a customer brings in like 2 garbage bags full of clothes. All right, the employees, well, the one employee who has been certified to do it goes through your clothes, picks through them, makes sure there's no holes, stains, dirt, make sure it's kind of new, kind of goes through all that process basically, enters it in the computer gives them a price and it's like, hey, this is how much we can give you for your clothes. And we're gonna sell it so much higher than what it's worth. Another story. But, so the customer gets a third of whatever it would be on sale for. So if like a pair of jeans was $12, you'd get maybe $3 for them. I remember whenever I would tell the customers their total, they'll be like, oh my God, this is from Victoria's Secret. You know, I paid $55 for this t-shirt. And I'm like, I'm sorry. Like, I don't decide the prices. The computer does. Like, what else am I supposed to do? I can't change it. You know, I can't make it a Michael Kors t-shirt. And then they would get really upset. They would yell, scream, get in my face, explain that they need the gas money or drug money or whatever it may be. So that was a problem within itself. I wrote this down so I would not forget what I was going to say. Fitting rooms. Oh God, the fitting rooms. So once the customer says yes, and they're like, yeah, I'll sell you my clothes, you know, just give me the money, blah, blah, blah. We're like, okay, here you go, have a great day, bye. And then, you know, we put the new tags on the clothes, we put them out on the floor, and then other customers can try them on. Well, obviously, you want to go into a dressing room, because you're just not going to strip in front of everybody. Well, some people did, most people did not, thankfully. And so all of our dressing rooms were locked, so you had to ask for a key. But some people would just stand there. They would be like, with their arms crossed, just like looking at the corner of their eye at us, like, say something. I don't know what you want. I can't read your mind. And it was super annoying, but I had to be nice and be like, oh, do you need a fitting room? Like, so I got them fitting room. And like, we had separate women's and men's fitting rooms. Like, women's was in the front with the women's clothes, men's was in the back with the men's clothes. But we had closed the men's ones down because we had so much back stock that it was ridiculous. So the men's dressing rooms were just filled with back stock. And so we would have guys go back there, so we had to put a sign that said, sorry, these are out of order, please come to the front, blah, blah, blah. And we still had guys who would crawl under to try it on in there, or to like, for theft. They would crawl under there and put the clothes in their backpack, rip off like the sensor or whatever, get a little hole in it, and then leave. Because you couldn't really see like the fitting rooms from the front counter. So we didn't really know what was going on. Like, even if we had the cameras on, you would have to have somebody watching them 24/7, which we were always understaffed, so that wasn't a thing. And then we had some of those people who would like, they would take it and then they would go out to their car and mix it with their clothes that they already had and like try to resell it to us for money when they didn't even pay for it in the first place. And it's like, some of them weren't even smart enough to take the tag off. So all we did was scan it in our system and it said item not sold. Like, you kind of screwed yourself there, pal. It was such a common occurrence. Oh my gosh. I think that was one of the most stressful jobs I've ever had in my entire life. Like, telling people, hey, you stole this, I have to call the police, like. And then, don't even get me started with the staff, oh my god. Okay, sales associates were fine, most of the time. You know, I was a sales associate there for about a year. I guess about 6 months, and then I moved up to a buyer, and, you know, I started buying clothes in, and then I eventually moved up to a supervisor, shift lead, whatever you want to call it. And, you know, I was like, this is great, this is awesome, it's gonna be great, fun. No. So, half of the time the associates wouldn't listen, which I get. Most of them were teenagers, like, it was their first job, they didn't know what they were doing. Okay, but no, they weren't even really the problem. It was like the upper management, where they were all in this like little clique. Like, all of the management was related in some way, shape, or form. Problem one. Problem two, like, if you didn't get along with one person in the management clique, you're out. They will do everything and anything they can to get you fired. They will push you and push you and push you to your breaking point until you explode on them. Like I did. You know, there was so much unfairness and unhealthy, toxic environment, treatment, whatever you want to call it. Like, I got cussed at every single day. Every day I would be at my house and I would be crying my eyes out because I had to go to work because I had bills to pay. And it was so awful. My grandma, at the time I was living with her, and she was like, Jenna, you don't need to go to work. I'm like, yes, I do. Like, I have a car payment, I have rent, I have everything else under the sun I gotta pay. And, you know, she could see how hurt I was by it. And, you know, I was scared every time I walked into that place that I was getting written up for something I didn't do. Like, I got wrote up for an associate calling in before. Like, that's not my fault. What am I supposed to do? Leave my shift and go pick them up and drag them to work? No, I don't have the gas for that. And two, I don't want to get sick. So that's not my problem. And then, like, I would get wrote up because the store wasn't clean enough to their standards, but, like, it was clean. Like, there would be, like, one hanger on the floor, and they'll be like, Jenna, this place was a total disaster. And I'd be like, it's one hanger, just pick it up. Like, getting stressed. Like, I can feel my blood pressure rising just talking about it. Let's see. Oh yeah, I also didn't get lunch, so that was illegal and fun, especially when I worked open to close and I didn't get a lunch break. Had to eat behind the counter. Then I got wrote up for eating behind the counter when I didn't get a lunch break. All right, last point. Safety, or lack thereof. I did not feel safe whenever I was there. When I was working there, I didn't feel safe. A lot of the people that came to our specific store, they were on drugs, or they were alcoholics, or they just weren't in a good place, and they were just trying to get money to get either into more of the bad place or to get them out of the bad place. And it was like, you know, even when we were going through clothes, we found some heroin needles, we had found bags of pot, we have found so many different things. We found gun bullets, and it was just really scary at times. And we, you know, it's like I'm supposed to stay calm because I'm at the time the supervisor, and I'm like internally freaking out like the police are going to come in and do a drug bust and think that it's us because it's in our clothes. And it was just really scary. And like I remember one day I was taking pictures with my phone because the company that I worked for was a franchise, and so we hosted our own Instagram page and everything. And so I was taking pictures of the new clothes for Instagram, and I set my phone down on the counter so I could cash somebody out. Well, next thing I know, my phone is gone. Like, it's completely gone. Like, we watched the video cameras, we saw who took it, and I got it back, but it was still, like, scary that they would just take my phone. Like, I was having a very, very bad panic attack. Let's just put it at that. And I remember I just kept trying to call it, and it was off. I went on the computer, I went to find my iPhone, and it was completely turned off. And like when the customer brought it back in, he's like, oh yeah, we thought this was the girl in front of us or behind us or whatever. And I was like, so why did you turn it off? Like, well, I waited till I had my phone back in my hand first, obviously, before I started being a bitch. But I was so livid. Like, I literally just wanted to punch the guy in the throat. Oh my God. It was really bad. You know, and then, of course, with all the types of customers that came, while I was working there were 2 people who overdosed in the parking lot. You know, one had his kid in the back seat, and he had just shot up some heroin, and he was just gone. And it was really scary to see. Like, you shouldn't have to see that. Your kid shouldn't have to see that. It was brutal. It was definitely eye-opening. You know, and then at night, this is my last point. At night, when we locked up, employees weren't allowed to park in the parking lot. You had to park across the street. All right? If you were a manager, you were allowed to park in the parking lot. But if you were just a sales associate, they really didn't care. Like, I remember walking to my car, and this was back in like 2016 when I was still a sales associate, and like when all the clown stuff was going on. And like, you know, there were clowns always like jumping out of people's cars and like raping people and all of that stuff. And there had been one reported literally 3 stores down. And so I was scared for my life, and I was like, hey, can you drive me to my car? Like, I'm terrified. And she's like, no, I have places to be. Like, there's not even cameras on the back of the building if something were to happen. Like, my grandma would just wake up, and I wouldn't be there for her to wake up in the morning. And especially when it was cold, I was scared I was going to get frostbite. And you had to like walk up and down this huge hill. And like, I was scared I was gonna like fall and like maybe break my ankle or something, and like nobody would be there to help me. And oh my gosh, it was just brutal. Oh my gosh. That felt really good to get off my chest, actually. So yeah, I think that's the end of my story, but if you have any other questions, or if you want me to tell any more horror stories like customer interactions or anything else, just let me know in the comments, tweets, Twitters, Instacom, whatever social media, just let me know. And thank you for watching, and I will have all of my social media links below, so be sure to follow, subscribe, whatever else to those.